Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Inshallah, we have a brief recap of what we did recently. So, what have we been studying?
Jumla.
Jumla. And a jumla has how many types?
Ism.
Not ism.
Oh, and jumla ismiya.
Jumla ismiya. And the second type is?
Fi'liya.
Jumla fi'liya. Jumla ismiya, how many parts? Two. What's the first part called?
For ismiya.
Yeah.
Mubtada.
And the second part is called?
Khabar.
Khabar. So you have mubtada and you have khabar. And jumla fi'liya, the first word is called? The first word is what?
Fa'il.
Fi'l.
Fi'l.
Which is the actual action itself.
Yes. And then it's the fa'il.
Then it's a fa'il. Then it's followed by the? Maf'ul. What's the fixed rule regarding mubtada?
So it's always marfu.
It's always marfu'.
And it
Must be what?
and it's marifa.
Ma'rifa. Okay. Khabar?
Be marfu.
Marfu'.
And matching two things.
Matching the other two, which is number and gender. Fa'il? That's the zarf.
Marfu.
Marfu'. And maf'ul? Mansub. Okay. Today what I want to discuss very briefly is very brief because adverbs of time and place. We've had to have two examples today because understanding this or getting good examples of this depend on further lessons, a few further lessons like mudaf, mudaf ilayh, etc. So when we do that, I'll come back and give more examples of this. But for now, I'll explain to you briefly the concept so we get a rounded idea of how the sentence is, and that's the end of the jumla fi'liya. So as I said before, we had fa'il. Fa'il is the verb, followed by the fa'il, which is called subject, followed by maf'ul, which is object. And now the new thing I want to teach you today or explain to you is the zarf. Zarf literally means in Arabic a utensil. You have a pot, a container, it's called zarf. And it shows the time or the place of the action. So for example, if we go back to our example yesterday, the man kicked the ball. So you say, well, on Friday, the man kicked the ball. Or the man kicked the ball in the garden. Yeah? So that shows the time. Now before I give the example, how do you translate zarf? Because until yesterday we done this. Fa'il did the maf'ul to the fa'il did the fa'il to the maf'ul. Yeah? That's a fix. So mubtada is khabar.
Yes.
And translating jumla fi'liya is fa'il did the fa'il. That is the object, he did the fa'il to the maf'ul. As far as zarf is concerned, not two zarfs, but zarf is a bit flexible. You can translate it two ways. So for example, in a normal sentence, fa'il, the man, kicked the ball. Now there's two ways you can say this. You can say, on Friday, the man kicked the ball.
Yeah.
That would be correct as well. And you can also say, the man kicked the ball on Friday. So in zarf, keep it in mind, it can come either place. And you may need to adjust it, just which song's better in English. Or sometimes, if you have too many parts after the maf'ul, you bring one zarf here and then leave the rest afterwards.
So you know that pattern, fa'il did the fi'l to the maf'ul. That makes sense in English. And is that also applicable for the Arabic structure of the sentence?
Arabic structure is this: fa'il, fa'il, maf'ul. Very, V for very, S for simple, and O for order.
Right. So it's that way for Arabic, that way for English.
Yes.
Okay.
And even in English, it's not the same. In English, you have the subject first, then the fa'il, then the maf'ul.
Yeah.
And the way to remember the sentence in order in Arabic is this: V, S, O. Very simple order. V for verb, S for subject, and O for object. Very simple order.
Yeah.
So that's the way to remember it. If you get confused. So very simple order. Verb, subject, and object. Okay? Yeah? So, and then obviously adverb, the thing will come after this. The zarf will come after it, if there's one. And in translation, it's quite flexible. Yeah? Right. Now let's give one example. So, labithtu yawman. Labitha means to remain. So, this is the Uzair, alayhi salam, when Allah gave him death, or he went to sleep for a very long period of time. So ask, how long did he remain for? So he slept for hundreds of years. When he awoke, he said, labithtu, I remained, or I stayed. Yawman means
A day.
day. So what is this showing? The time of the labithtu. That's not, he didn't stay the day, it's not an object. It's showing what? When the verb took place. You understand? So I stayed, so I is you translate I, subject first,
Subject.
then the verb, I stayed. And how long did he stay for? A day. That's a zarf. So labithtu yawman. And Ashab al-Kahf, they said that labithna yawman. So we stayed for a day. Okay. Now I said it's only 2 examples because a lot of this depends on a lot of the zarfs come in a different, a bit more complex structure. Until we don't study those, I'm not going to bring those examples here. But when they do come, I'll point it out to you there, inshallah. Okay. So before we run off section 2, we have al-jumla, ismiyan, fi'liya. Fi'liya is made of mubtada and khabar. Mubtada is called what? Subject. Khabar is called the information. And the jumla ismiya is made up of fa'il, which is called the
Subject.
no fa'il.
Oh,
Verb. Then you have the fa'il, which is called the subject. Then you have the
مفعول
which is called the
Object.
followed by
ظرف
zarf, which is called
Adverb.
adverb. It shows what?
Time.
Time and place, or time or place. Mubtada is marfu and ma'rifa. This is nakira, marfu, and it has to match. Fine. Verb, that later on. Fa'il is what? Marfu, mansoob, mansoob. Okay? So in jumla ismiya, both are marfu, and in jumla fi'liya, you have one marfu, and these two are mansoob, and even anything else you will have that we study later on, that will also be mansoob. Okay? Any questions? That's it today. And that's the end of our second section. So we've done, beginning first section we done was what? Kalima. And then we said we leave sarf for the ilm tasrif lesson. Harf, we'll discuss it as it comes along. It hasn't come along as yet. And then we said ism. And the ism we said was what? We have 4 characteristics. Ma'rifa nakira, mudhakkar mu'annas, wa'id tasniya jam'. And jam' had mukassaran, salim. And salim was both what? Mudhakkaran, mu'annas. And then in the i'rab you had marfu', mansoob, and majroor. And then we said, well, we put all those words together to make a jumla. And the jumla is either ismiya or fi'liya. And ismiya now has 2 parts. Fi'liya must have 2 parts. This is the farad of the jumla ismiya. Or jumla fi'liya must have these. This is like very often it comes. And this may come as nafil, optional, tatawwu'. You get it?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك